First off, the South-South Governors Forum and the People's Democratic Party are mourning the death of the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Lawrence Erujapo. He reportedly collapsed at his office in Yenagoa and was rushed to the Federal Medical Center, where he was later pronounced dead. Governor Dakpo Abiodun described the loss as painful and praised Erujapo's dedication to public service, while the PDP hailed him as a politician of principle and integrity. Erujapo had served 8 years as Commissioner for Works and later became Deputy Governor despite opposition to his candidacy. Born on September 5, 1965, he remained in the PDP even after Governor Duye Diri defected to the APC. And in this report, Arise senior correspondent Ovieteme George presents a summary of the life and times of the Ofoni-born politician.
Born in September 1965, Lawrence Erujapo was a legal practitioner and a Nigerian politician from Ofoni community in Sagbama local government area of Bayelsa State. He obtained a master's degree in business administration from the same institution in the year 2000. He has a bachelor degree in law from the River State University of Science and Technology, Port Harcourt, and was called to the bar in 2009. Erujapo's entrance into the Nigerian political space dates back to 2012 when he served as a two-term commissioner for works and infrastructure under the administration of Governor Seriake Dixon.
Look at this, I'm going to go to almost this about 10 meters. 12 meters. 12 meters.
Most notable in his service to the people of Bayelsa was his contributions to the construction of the Bayelsa State International Airport and the first phase of the Ekeremo-Sagbama Road in Bayelsa West and other numerous road projects.
The flood has given us an impression that we need to raise the road higher than it is. So we are doing an additional fill of 1.1 or 1.2 meters. And so that is giving us a change of the heights.
The senator was nominated by the Bayelsa chapter of the People's Democratic Party the same year as running mate to Senator Duye Diri for the 2019 polls.
I, Senator Lawrence Erujapo Bagwarhewu,
do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
On February 14, 2020, he was sworn in as Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, and 4 years later, he took the oath of office for his second term. As Deputy Governor of the homogeneous Ijaw State, he coordinated sporting activities, guiding the state to a historic ITL Cup double victories by Bayelsa United and Bayelsa Queens in August 2021 at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium, Benin, Edo State. Fondly called a workaholic deputy governor by the Bayelsa governor, Lawrence Erujapo enjoyed a cordial working relationship with Governor Duye Diri. Sadly, the Ofoni-born politician from Sagbama local government area reportedly slumped in his office on Thursday, December 11, and was rushed to a hospital in Yenagoa, where he was pronounced dead. Ovieteme George, Arise News.
May his soul rest in peace. The Senate, through its Committee on Foreign Affairs, screened more ambassadorial nominees on Thursday, granting many of them, including former chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC Mahmoud Yakubu, former Chief of Army Staff, Abdul Rahman Dambazao, and former Aviation Minister, Femi Fani-Kayode, and former Administrator of River State, Vice Admiral Ibok Ibas Ete, retired, the privilege of taking a bow and go. What seems to be the only anxious moment is the face-off between two senators, Ali Ndume and Adams Oshiomhole, as Senate screens former presidential aide Reno Mokri, saving him for the last and without a single question being asked of him. Arise correspondent Omo Bazoaye tells us more.
After an initial age that saw many, including senators, Ambassadorial nominees and journalists scrambled for space in the jam-packed hearing room 221. The screening exercise finally took place in a new venue. In rapid dispatch, the Senate Screening Committee attended to the ambassadorial nominees, granting Senator Ita Inan and all other former National Assembly members the privilege of taking a bow and go. The same gesture is extended to all former governors, Okezie Ikpeazu from Abia State and Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu State, former Minister of Aviation Femi Fani-Kayode, and all former ministers, including former Chief of Army Staff Abdurrahman Dambazo, the immediate past Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission Mahmood Yakubu, and former Administrator of Rivers State Vice Admiral Ibo Kibas were also asked to take a bow and go. Senate Leader Opeyemi Bamidele, who monitored the exercise, offered a spirited explanation for the bow and go.
We also relied on the report, the security report from the DSS, from the police, and other relevant security agencies, and to the extent that we have a clean bill of record in respect of all of them.
My name is Fatima Florence Ajimobi, wife of late Senator Abiola Ajimobi from Oyo State.
All former First Ladies and former ambassadors were not left out in the offer from the Senate, as the list of nominees still waiting to be screened gradually narrowed down to former presidential aide Reno Omokri and 4 career ambassadors, but all eyes on Omokri.
My name is Reno Omokri. I was a special assistant
Omokri
to the president
had barely finished introducing himself when 2 senators, Ali Ndume and Adamu Shiomole, snapped at each other over Omokri's nomination. While Ndume wanted Omokri dispersed quickly following a motion to that effect, Oshiomole held on to the floor, insisting on saying a thing or two about the nominee, despite tacit pressures on him not to.
You cannot exercise power that you don't have. You don't exercise power that is wrong. Thank you.
Finally, Omokri scaled the hurdle and was allowed to take a bow and go, with his dream of being a Nigerian ambassador intact. Omo Bazwai, Arise News.
In other news, Lagos State government is intensifying reforms to enhance safety and operational efficiency across the maritime logistics corridor, rolling out 2,000 CNG-powered trucks to gradually replace aging, high-risk vehicles with cleaner and more reliable alternatives. Speaking at a stakeholder engagement with maritime and logistics operators, the Special Advisor on Transportation, Shola Giwa, who represented Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, harped on the need to prioritize safety and develop sustainable solutions that benefit both industry operators and the public. Special Advisor on Logistics, Adekoya Hassan, also stressed the need for strict compliance, noting that these reforms are essential to building a safer, more efficient system and supporting a future where Lagos ports stand as symbols of excellence.
I call on every participant here today to join hands with government to embrace the reforms, to commit to compliance, and to ensure a future where our ports and logistic corridors become symbols of efficiency and order. Together, we'll build a system where truckers are healthier, fleet are safer, roads are more predictable, and operations are more competitive.
Our intentional investment in free eye screening for truck operators, substance abuse sensitization, and drug testing initiatives reflects the government's firm stance on protecting lives, improving truck operator welfare, and reducing avoidable road accidents. Furthermore, the facilitation of access to 2,000 CNG-powered trucks through our strategic partnership with the bank is a bold step toward a greener future.
Thank you to our visionary leader, Dr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, for building a prosperous city, welfare package for drivers to attract professional drivers globally, particularly from United Nations, United States of America, drivers from there to come drive here for cash, and also for the Reketi trucks you mentioned, they can go to Osun or go to Abuja.
As a bank, we are ready to support and partner with NATO in terms of financing truck acquisition. We are started the financing with our initial 50 billion line, which we intend to do the 150 billion in 3 tranches. We'll do 50 billion in the first instance, then we'll do another 50 and another 50. And we hope that this will go a long way to support. And the terms and conditions are favorable.
I want to admonish our members that this is not free investment. It's not free money. This is an investment. If you know you don't have the capacity or you want key in for different initiatives, this is not the place. This is a business investment, and if you key in, you must pay.
Lagos State Command in NDLEA, we are ready to strengthen our collaboration and deepen our advocacy with all stakeholders.
No truck clear from the maritime corridor without fulfilling the vehicle inspection rules of Lagos State as contained in the Lagos State Law Reform 2018. And you must make MPA to understand it. It is Vehicle Inspection Service of the state. But what do you see? MPA will register vehicle, put a sticker that it is a safe. If you see the truck, tire is facing Ojuelegba and the steering is facing Shobolu, and when it has an accident, LASMA will be called upon. That is just one. But if you don't change, this program will stop it. President NATO, you have done a fantastic job with your team. These guys, I've seen them all over the country. I consult before this job for many state governments. NATO people are professionals. Same thing with the petroleum tanker drivers. You may call them anything. Their leadership are superb. So we want to beg you, sir, now that your own boy, now you come bring this kind of thing, and these our Lagos people come support you. Please give us support. Help us take this thing, come out for Lagos, carry banks, carry them, go other states, go sell this product to them, so that we can breathe clean air and we can live better life.
Right, some stories before us this morning, Rufai, starting off, of course, on a very sad note. The unfortunate, untimely, sudden death of the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, a man whose political antecedent was illustrated and spoken about there by Ovieteme George in his report. And then big news around the ambassadorial nominees. The screening process has started in the Senate, and of course, a few, let's say, ruckus happened there between Senator Lindumi and Senator Adams Oshiomhole. Your take on these stories?
I mean, God rest the soul of the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, now late. From that chat about his life, he exemplified honor. And honor means standing with convictions. At a time where honor in our political life is missing, Mr. Lawrence exemplified honor as unto death. And that was what he showed when he said, I was going to stay with Serake Dixon. And despite the fact that the governor had gone the way of the APC, he still wanted to remain in the PDP. And he said the PDP had been instrumental to his political career. That's a very rare trait. And he decided to scorn compromise. And he upheld honor at a critical time. And he will be remembered for that.
Yeah.
Secondly, I am not surprised. You see, the Senate has become a rubber stamp. We can't say that enough. And it's become a rubber stamp because the Senate now tilts towards the incumbent. Probably the only time in the last 2-3 dispensations we had anything worth of a Senate that had a spine was during Bukola Saraki. And I said Senate that had a spine means a spine that stands with the people to challenge. So forget all the joke. I was a governor before you. I was senator before you dreamt of it. No. All of that was just drama to be able to, distract Nigerians from the formative matter. They both knew they were not going to ask any tangible question. They didn't have any tangible question prepared for the nominees. But they wanted to give drama, and it's called baiting. So they baited the media. And true to type, what's the media reporting today? The drama. But the media is not reporting the substance of what will have been the questioning. And that's why you and I did a quick video this morning, Ayo, where we said, the question we'll have thought that they should ask every ambassadorial nominee. Number one, background, antecedents, scandals, everything about their person. What have they built? The second part should bother about their understanding of the Nigerian economy, the Nigerian civil society space, the things about Nigerian law, where you should ask them critical questions about their understanding of the Constitution, the civil society space, and their thoughts and opinions about very key contentious issues in Nigeria. Then the last part should be a scenario-based questioning process that creates scenario for them to be able to test their knowledge with bit-by-bit implementation. Example will be, if you were Nigeria's ambassador in Burkina Faso with what is happening, what would be your first 3 to 4 to 5 step moves? If you were a Nigerian ambassador in a country where a coup had happened, what would be your next move and next line of action? Yeah. These are scenario-based test questions to be able to ascertain what is going there. I can bet you the National Assembly does not even have a template, you can correct me if I'm wrong, for questioning people like this. I mean, there should be a template. The questions might be different, but what I just created for them is a template. I'm not sure they have that template. And that's why they are so quick to say, take a bow. Take a bow for people like Ibokete Ibas, that Deji Adeyanju wrote a petition to ICPC for on his time as sole administrator, when a lot of money was appropriated for Rivers State. I would have asked the Senate to be able to say he should give accounts. Because the Senate actually had to review some of those, what's it called, funding that was released to Ibokete Ibas as sole administrator. This should have been a time for him to give stewardship an account. But you see, we live in a society where we have a lack of, deep thinking process across our National Assembly. So any National Assembly gravitates towards the presidency, the executive. They don't have the spine. They are not there. They are not the parlement pour peuple. They are not the parlement for the people. They are the parlement for self. Because when you look at the historical antecedents of the word parliament, which means parlement, which means to speak in favor of the people, it's only about their political consideration. So they will never ask the questions on the minds of the people that we need to ask ambassadors. And these questions we are saying they should ask ambassadors, it's not because we don't like the face of the people there. Anyway, I have my reservations about a lot of people on the list. But it's because these people are going to represent Nigeria in the end, and anything they bring to Nigeria, both glory or shame, will come back to us and our conduct as a people. And that's why even when you go to the time of a lawmaker in Ekiti that was being asked about the 3 lawmakers in the state, or not, about 3 lawmakers in the state, I would have said, apart from that, we should have asked more substantive questions.
All right. Dr. Batim.
Okay, let's start by commiserating with the people of Bayelsa State, and personally with the governor of Bayelsa State, Governor Doye Diri, on the sudden passing of his deputy, Deputy Governor Eru Japo. Now, it's sudden death, and also to his political family. He's a disciple of countryman Seriake Dixon. So Bayelsa is mourning, and we mourn along with them. Now, for me, it comes, as a shock, because I was in Bayelsa on October 9, right? Yeah, October 9, to moderate the session in memory of the late Governor Alami Esia. And the deputy governor was there. He was healthy just this October. And then to hear that he was at a meeting, and then he slumped on the staircase, he was rushed to the hospital, and then he died. So the death is really shocking, and I think it will be found to be so by many of his political associates. Now, the deputy governor, Lawrence Erujako, who died, started his career, as in secretarial administration. He went to, a college of administration in Rivers State. Thereafter, he went to the Rivers State School of Science, University of Science and Technology, where he got a first degree, and later obtained a Bachelor of Science, yes, and then later an MBA. And then between 2019 and 2020, he was Bayelsa State senatorial representative in the Senate, representing Bayelsa West. And then, of course, in the elections that followed, he was an associate of Seriake Dixon, and Countryman insisted that he should be the deputy governor, even if there was a lot of opposition to that. But he was Countryman Dixon's Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure for 8 years, in which capacity he was able to impress a lot of people with his capacity, with his ability to monitor works projects, to monitor, infrastructural development in Bayelsa State, despite being a lawyer, because he later went and studied law, but he showed a lot of, maybe perhaps because of his science background, he was able to understand, what all of that. And he was quite a dutiful deputy to Governor Doye Diri. In his passing, I think many of us can learn some lessons from this. One is about the menace of the sudden death syndrome. And it means that even when you are healthy, because I understand it didn't show any sign of illness, people should just do regular checkups as they grow older, to see that nobody is immortal, nobody is going to, live forever. Also, in 2023, the late deputy governor got a PhD, I think in human rights law, because, so he was also an intellectual backbone for that administration. The more remarkable thing that people are talking about was that when Governor Doye Diri said in the interest of the people of Bayelsa State, he was moving to the APC, he did not follow him. But that's understandable. He's a Seriake Dixon Countryman's person. So because of that, perhaps out of loyalty to Countryman Dixon, he decided to stay in the People's Democratic Party. But we commiserate also with his family, and we remember very fondly, his service to the people of Bayelsa and the efforts that he made in that regard. Now, to go to the Senate screening. The issue is as follows. This bow and go syndrome is a violation of the principle of the separation of powers, well articulated by Baron de Montesquieu in terms of the separation of powers. We see a Senate of the Federal Republic that is continually giving muzzle, weight, affirmation to people who say that this is a rubber stamp National Assembly, to the extent that people in that National Assembly will seem to have resolved that anything that the president brings must just be rubber stamped. There are many of them who have been on this program who say this is not true, that they disagree occasionally, but they seem to agree more and rubber stamp, than we see the exception. All those people who are asked to bow and go, former wives of late governors, former ministers, former senators, they robbed us, Nigerians, of the opportunity to at least listen to these people. Former INEC chairman, about whom many of Nigerians have questions to raise. No, I think maybe we should change the format of this Senate screening. We are getting to a point now when the civil society will start demanding that when you are screening anybody for any important position, civil society should be in the room. We, the people, should be the one asking the questions.
Yes.
And we are ready. If they invite us, we will go there and ask jam questions.
Yes.
Or you don't know how to pose jam questions.
No, I'm ready.
We will frame jam questions for anybody.
We ask some of them.
And the questions will not leak. We will give them jam questions to see that these persons who want to go and represent us are responsible people, knowledgeable people, decent people who do not have skeletons in their cupboard. As for Ndume and Senator Oshiomhole, Senator Oshiomhole has every right to defend whoever he wants. And he stood up gallantly for Reno Omokri. And he made the point that there have been comments on television elsewhere about some of the candidates. And in fact, he needed to say, look, Reno Omokri is a pragmatist. But Senator Shomale is recommending to us that we all should be pragmatists. We can change our mind at any time. We can support the powers that be at any time. The Panjandrum that is in power, has it all. So, tomorrow, don't be surprised when we also go the APC way. No. After all, the APC is the dominant party in Nigeria. Yeah. And, for many Nigerians, including younger persons, Reno Omokri, as Senator Shomale pointed out, will be a role model.
Oh.
So, but for Senator Ndume saying the rules, the rules must be followed and all of that, where he himself instructively did not oppose Reno Omokri. Yeah. He was just talking about the rules.
He was just on drama.
We have a new morality from the Senate of the Federal Republic that all of us should be pragmatists.
We should change our mind once there's a new government in power.
Please, Rufai, stop. I'm still paying school fees. I can change my mind tomorrow.
All right.
Have you not changed it already? And it will be my right.
Have you not changed it already?
Well within your right.
Please.
Dr. Batim, you can change your mind. It's a matter of integrity. I didn't know that the new definition for pragmatism is lack of integrity. Okay. Because let us call a spade a spade. You can color it up and, in fact, he said we should praise the president's large heart, who is able to accommodate people who had spoken about him in the past. I just thought this is very interesting because, like Dr. Batim said, he's redefining morality in Nigeria. When we've talked about values, morality, in the area of building, nation building, this is why this topic is important. Now, when we talk about questions that also have been posed to the candidates yesterday, Dr. Pati, we already gave a lot of suggestions. So we don't even need to test our ability to ask jam questions because right before time, if there was, maybe they didn't have enough time to do their homework or they didn't have enough time to prepare, they ought to just listen to some of the advice or suggestions, proposals by people on this table and even in the public sphere who had talked about things that were under question, even specifically to some of the candidates. And I thought it was quite unfair to the Nigerian people and their senatorial districts, the people making up their senatorial districts, whom they represent, on whose mandates they stand, on their mandates they will stand or they stand, on whose mandate they stand, to actually have gone through a rigorous process of questioning. When we look at the role of an ambassador, it's a very serious job. It's a tough job. And someone made the comparison that when you look at young people going for a job that pays like 70 to 100,000 naira entry level, they go through 3 levels of interviews. It is very rigorous because you want to ensure that you're getting the best mind, the best fits for the role in question, especially if the role is very important. The role of the ambassador is the chief diplomatic, aside from the president, the head of the foreign mission, in foreign missions across the world. You are representing, you carry the weight and the responsibility on your shoulders of representing an entire nation. You represent, your representation has an impact on national security, on economy, on investment opportunities, because you are marketing, you are representing your country. And that's why the question around the depth of your knowledge of the nation that you're representing ought to have been questioned. That is why the depth of knowledge with regards to diplomatic responses to issues that are a bit, dicey, that's why you ought to have been interrogated. These are some of the things, very low level. And of course, the personality that is being sent to these missions ought to also come into question. We had said, yes, it's the prerogative of the president, beyond being a political appointment. In recent times, we have seen the important role of an ambassador, hence a call for ambassadors being nominated after the incident with the United States of America. And so it's quite disappointing. Recall that when the ambassadorial nominee list was released, a number of Nigerians were disappointed. In fact, some people had opined that it was a slap on the face of a lot of people by the president, showing the fact that he didn't really, despite the names on there and the calls by Nigerians that they were not qualified, he turned a blind, he looked the other way. And so we're looking to the Senate to save the day. This could have been a moment for the Senate to redeem their image. This could have been a glory time for the Senate to show Nigerians that they were actually doing their role of checks and balances, screening and showing that one of the arms of government in Nigeria, they were fulfilling their duty. And what we saw was a further anticlimax of the list of nominees after 2 years of it being called. And so we see another bow and go ceremony. In fact, this 10th Senate might be called the Take a Bow Senate or the Bow and Go Senate as in the history of Nigeria. But with regards to the women being asked to also take a bow, In some instances, you can say, okay, that is good, let us push more women in government. But also, there's also a challenge with tokenism, and where you might see issues around the fact that the women themselves might not get that much needed respect for the office, because it would be as if they just got on the platform based on their gender, and that's not the case. We have seasoned people on there. We have women who could prove their mettle if only they were asked questions around that. Questioning in the Nigerian context is not to show up people. It's not to disgrace people. It's actually an opportunity for you to demonstrate the fact that you are worth the title that you're called, and you deserve the office that you're being called into. Very simple. And so it's quite disappointing, and I hope that... I don't know which other hope is there, because now they'll go to the presidency and it is Uhuru. But this is why the Nigerian people cannot keep quiet. We continue to do the job, and the press as the fourth estate of the realm, we continue to do the job that the Senate ought to be doing at this time in terms of checks and balances and questioning things that happen across decisions in the executive.